Good morning, everyone. My name is José Félix Zapata Usandivaras, and today I'm going to talk to you about my thesis titled Surrogate Models based on large eddy simulations and deep learning for coaxial rocket engine injector design. This thesis was done under the supervision of Annafederica Urbano, Michael Bauheim, and Bénédicte Cuenot between Surfax and ISAE-SUPAERO. Without further preamble, I will introduce the context surrounding the rocket engine injector. In particular, I would like you to look at the top right corner of this screen where I'm showing is a cut of a Vulcan engine, and on top of it we have the injection manifold where each of these lines on top corresponds to an injection element. The injector in itself is a critical component in the rocket engine assembly because it introduces and meters the flow into the combustion chamber, therefore affecting two major parameters, which are the flame size and combustion efficiency, which eventually affect the overall performance of the engine. Not to mention also that it has a predominant role in the extreme heat loads and thermal environments that are exerted upon the walls. And this is important to mention because available models for preliminary design of rocket engines are either inaccurate if we talk about semi-empirical correlations, or intractable if we're talking about high-fidelity numerical simulations whose restitution times are very large to be used still within optimization codes for preliminary design. This leads me to the overall goal of my PhD thesis, which has been to develop methodologies to build surrogate models for a gaseous oxygen methane shear coaxial injector in a rocket combustion chamber. So to put it shortly, the main idea of this thesis has been to create a database of large eddy simulations of shear coaxial injectors spanning a predefined design space, then extract relevant quantities of interest, and then by leveraging machine learning, specifically deep learning, that we are collecting from the state of the art in this domain, to obtain then a surrogate model that runs sufficiently accurate but also fast so that it can be potentially used in design, analysis, and optimization problems. For preliminary design, of course. So now let's dive into the research path of my thesis. It all began by creating a database. In our case, we proceeded to create a database across a three-dimensional design space comprised of more or less of 100 LES simulations of shear coaxial injectors operating a gaseous oxygen methane mixture, and all of this was done by means of the code AVP developed at Surfax. Each simulation ranged from 5,000 CPU hours at the Quarsis level to 40,000 CPU hours, which were the most expensive ones. Examples of these are the ones you see on the screen, where we have two different design points and its instantaneous temperature evolution across the longitudinal axis. With this database, we proceed first to predict the average LES fields across the longitudinal axis, like the ones you see on the screen here. On top we have our ground truth LES, and below the different convolutional neural networks that were trained. The resemblance is quite good. And also spatial temporal emulators, like the ones you see on the screen, where on top we have our autoencoder and below the ground truth. Still, this is a field that's quickly evolving, and there's a lot of room for improvement by leveraging on new methods developed in the state of the art, which will be conducted in the following parts of this project.